I was looking at the numbers first from data from January 2000 to December 2015, looking at the global terrorism database compiled by University of Maryland. And it's basically based on the news reports. And from 2000 to 2015, 15 years span, they count that the 87,009 terrorism incidents, so 87,000 terrorism incidents. In Southeast Asia, about 7,000. Here's a breakdown. Philippines is 3,558, and Thailand is 3,115, and Indonesia is just 500, and Malaysia is 39, and so on. So the quite dominant number come from Thailand and the Philippines. And when you look at what kind of incidents are there in the Philippines and Thailand, so-called jihad-related incidents are about 10% of that. And many of the incidents, shootings, some casualties, some not, they are there in the Philippines, mostly directed to or related to this separatist sentiment in Mindanao. That is not to say that there are serious issues of kidnappings and IS-influenced issues in Mindanao area. And of course, Sulu Island was mentioned yesterday. And apparently, there is this node of Islamic State is in Abu Sayyaf group in Sulu Island. And the Thailand case is also about 3,112 cases. Basically, they are related to the separatist issues against the central government. It's a very small scale incidents, terrorism incidents, but mostly regarding how the regions in the south part of the Thailand is expressing its opposition and the resentment against the central government. It doesn't mean that there's an influence from international elements which transcends from outside of Southeast Asia to southern Thailand. And Indonesian case, of course, the most famous one was 2002 bombings in Bali that killed 202 instantly. And there was a series of bombings in Indonesia. And I was there in the Japanese embassy at that time. And the perpetrator was Jamaah Islamiyah, which originally was created by Indonesian clerics who fled to Malaysia, and then they started this organization, Jamaah Islamiyah, in hope to establish the Islamic State in Southeast Asia. So the idea of establishing an Islamic State in Southeast Asia region was already there. So we can see a general trend of seeing the one extreme interpretation of religion of Islam using the rhetoric or selective rhetoric from the holy texts to justify their terrorist acts. And that has an influence not only in Indonesia, but Malaysia and Singapore as well, and southern Thailand and south part of the Philippines. The second element is the point that I want to make is it's interesting to notice that yesterday the coordinating minister Wiranto was talking about Katiba Nusantara. That's a group consisting of people from Southeast Asia getting together and fight in the name of Islam, in Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. And if you trace this grouping of Southeast Asians, it's not just what we see in current Syria and Iraq, but in Afghanistan conflict, there was a group. They tend to congregate together, Malaysians, Singaporeans, Filipinos, and some from Thailand and Singapore. So they don't really mix up with other or Arab fighters. So they tend to congregate together. So it is important to see their grouping tendencies as Southeast Asians. And the final point I want to make before going too much on this is that eventually they will come back to their home countries. And it could be sooner than we think. And some have already left, and some are already back. And I'm sure our colleagues will mention some of those groups. And what to do with these people when they come back. And there's one debate, serious one, going on in Europe, whether we should understand this issue of terrorism as the Islamized radicalism or radicalized Islamism. And the radicalized Islamism was easy to understand because it was Al-Qaeda. They are very secretive. There was a foundation of understanding of Islamic teaching, and then it has been radicalized. But we've seen quite many people who are not very familiar with the teaching itself, but they are radicals, but they use Islam on top of their radicalism to act, to kill. And so that's the Islamized radicalism trend. So there's a tendency from the radicalized Islamism and then to Islamized radicalism. So we have to deal with both at the same time. So this is a difficulty of counterterrorism issues. So with that quick note, let me invite the Dr. Bilbasin to give a presentation.